What is up guys, my name is Chase and I've made videos sharing my entire Nintendo Switch collection, my entire Nintendo 3DS collection, and even my entire Amiibo collection. So I asked you guys in my community tab which of my video game collections you would like to see next, and the winner was Nintendo 64. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my entire Nintendo 64 collection. Before we begin, I should mention that when the Nintendo 64 was first released, I was nowhere near being birthed, so these are actually all of my older brother's Nintendo 64 games, and they've pretty much just been passed down to me. Anyway, first things first, I guess we should start off with the Nintendo 64 console. As you can see, this is the Pikachu edition. I really like the design of this N64. Even though I know nothing about Pokemon, I at least know Pikachu, and this 3D design is so cool. Even the power button is a little Pokeball. So this is a really nice Nintendo 64 console. And this wooden N64 game case is actually, once again, my brother's. It's really cool because you open it up and it holds a bunch of N64 games. Unfortunately, Nintendo 64 games don't have N labels, so I don't think these are going to be in alphabetical order. So the games are going to be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you. And oh boy, our first game is Super Smash Bros, the original one. It's so crazy to see where Smash Bros actually started, and honestly, trying to play Smash Bros with the N64 controller, it's so weird. But it's really cool to see like the humble beginnings of the Smash Bros series. So this is a really cool game to have. Next up, we have, wow, Super Mario 64, banger after banger. I've said this a million times, but I would literally put in this copy of Super Mario 64 and I would just play with Mario's face, and I thought that was the whole game. I would be sitting there pulling on Mario's nose or something, and I was just like, this is a cool game. And I'm honestly a little bit embarrassed to admit that I did not complete Super Mario 64 until like 3 years ago. I did it on my Twitch stream when Super Mario 3D All-Stars first came out, but now I can finally call myself a gamer because I actually finished Mario 64. Also, this is the player's choice version of Mario 64. Next up, we have, wow, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And it looks like my family got this used because there's the used GameStop sticker on the back. Wow, what a throwback. Once again, I am pretty embarrassed to admit that I did not finish Ocarina of Time until, I think, last year. The first time I ever beat Ocarina of Time was on the Nintendo Switch Online app. Once again, we beat that on stream. And so it's pretty cool to say that I have finally played through this classic video game. Also, this cartridge is like gold, which is kind of cool. Speaking of gold cartridges, we have The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I always thought this was so cool because I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the cover is like holographic. The holograph cover is actually really cool. I'm like in a trance. It also freaked me out. Majora's Mask was so scary to me when I was a child. I never ever wanted to play this game because I was so terrified of Majora's Mask. Actually, I think I remember there was one time when I was a kid when I was like feeling especially brave and I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what this spooky game is all about, and I popped into the N64. I didn't know what the heck I was doing because I barely knew how to play video games. So I've probably like seen Majora's Mask before, but I've never actually played it myself. I don't know, timers in video games really stress me out, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to play through Majora's Mask ever in my life. Our next game is Namco Museum 64. I don't think I've ever actually played this game. Not gonna lie, even the cover looks kind of boring to me, but apparently it includes Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, Galaxian, Pole Position, and Dig Dug. Yeah, I don't know, I don't think I've ever actually played this game, especially considering that I was very young when I was playing N64 games. This cover probably did not interest me at all. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but this is a video game. Alright, we have, ooh, Yoshi's Story. So funny story about this one, pun intended. You can actually see there's a GameStop used sticker on the sides here. I actually vividly remember buying this game from GameStop. My grandma took me to GameStop one day and they had a clearance bin filled with N64 games, and this was the game that I picked out. And what's even funnier is that when I went to my grandma's house and popped this in the N64, the whole game was in Japanese, and because everything was in Japanese, like even the menus, I could not figure out how to get it back to English. I couldn't read any of the dialogue or any of the instructions or anything. It wasn't until I got to high school and took a Japanese class when I could finally change the language settings back to English. Anyway, so that's Yoshi's story. Not gonna lie, I have not beat this game though. Next up, we have Pokemon Snap. I mentioned earlier that I know nothing about Pokemon, so of course I did not play this game. But I know that this game is considered a classic. You know, new Pokemon Snap came out, what, 2 years ago, I think? But this is like an interesting concept for a game, especially considering how many Pokemon there are. You know, so it just makes sense that you would go around taking pictures of them. So there's Pokemon Snap, I talked about it. Next up, we have, Pokemon Stadium. Basically copy and paste what I said for Pokemon Snap for Pokemon Stadium. I know nothing about this game. I can tell you that there is a Blastoise, I think, and a Charizard. We at least know that that is Charizard. I can pretty confidently say that that is in fact Charizard. But I don't know, there's Pokemon Stadium. Next up, we have, oh boy, Pokemon Stadium 2. Once again, copy and paste everything I just said. But this one's cool because it has a gold and gray cartridge, and the art on the front is all shiny, so that's kind of cool. I like this game, if anything, for the artwork. Honestly, I can't even tell you what Pokemon those are on the front. School me about Pokemon in the comments. Next up, we have, Mario Party. Absolute classic. Obviously, we all know about Mario Party by now, and this is actually where it all started. I'm not gonna lie, I did not play much of the original Mario Party, and looking back at some of the gameplay, I feel like they were still trying to figure out how to make Mario Party like Mario Party as we know it today. But yeah, it's cool to see where Mario Party started, and spoilers, this isn't the last we'll see of Mario Party in this video. Next up, we have Mario Party 2, yay! This is the Mario Party I probably got the most out of. We have GameStop stickers plastered all over it. But yeah, Mario Party 2 was probably the N64 Mario Party that I played the most. All of the different lands that you could choose were really cool. I liked all of the different themes. You know, the whole concept of these mini storylines on the boards and you're trying to become the big hero. I thought it was really cool. And of course, all of the mini games are just classic Mario Party games. So at least for me, Mario Party 2 is the definitive Mario Party on the N64. And speaking of which, we also have Mario Party 3. I think out of the 3 Mario Parties, Mario Party 3 is probably the one I am least familiar with. Yeah, I don't think I played much of Mario Party 3. Like, I don't even think I could tell you much about this game. I vaguely remember playing some of the mini games when I was younger. I think there were some really fun, like, 2v2 mini games in this one. But for the most part, once again, I think Mario Party 2 was like my go-to Mario Party on the N64. So unfortunately, don't know much about Mario Party 3. Next up, we have Mickey's Speedway USA. I cannot tell you anything about this game. The only thing I can say is that based on the cover art here, this was made by Rare. What an interesting game for Rare to have made. I don't know, I'm guessing it's just a pretty standard like Disney racing game. Yeah, once again, I genuinely do not know what to say about this game, but it's in my childhood collection. Next up, we have Mario Tennis. I do actually remember playing this game. I actually really like the Mario Tennis games, and to be honest, I think the reason why I like Mario Tennis games is because it is just very straightforward and simple. For the most part, the only thing you have to do in tennis is run to the ball and press A, so I think especially these early Mario Tennis games were probably very simple. Next up, we have Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards. I actually did not play this game either, which is a total shame because nowadays I love Kirby, and I would probably love this game so much. Maybe we'll even stream it, I don't know. But I'm not gonna lie, my best guess is that when I was a kid, I probably saw this cover and I thought it was like a baby's game and I didn't want to play it. Especially since it's all pink, like that probably just made me not want to play the game. If I could just go back in time and slap younger Chase in the face. But I believe this is one of the very few 2D games that are on the N64. A lot of the games on the N64 focused around like being 3D because that was the big trend at the time. Just make a bunch of 3D games, that's the future. So there weren't that many 2D games, and I think Kirby 64 is actually one of them. Next up, we have, oh boy, Madden Football 64. There's actually a little price tag stuck on here. So I actually bought this somewhat recently. This definitely was not a part of my childhood collection. I bought this from a local thrift store, and apparently I got it for $3. So we got just a random N64 game for $3. That's pretty cool. And then next up here, we have Paper Mario, the original one. This was actually the last N64 game I played on the original console, and it wasn't until somewhat recently when I actually beat this game for reals. I really enjoy the Paper Mario series. It's so humorous and charming to look at, so it's really cool to see that this is where it all started. Next up, we have Mario Golf. Not gonna lie, I don't think I played much of this one. I was probably more of a tennis guy. So I honestly can't tell you much about my personal experience with Mario Golf. It's actually funny to see so many of these Mario spin-offs on the N64. So there's Mario Golf. Next up, we have, Mario Kart 64. I'm gonna be totally honest, this is a game that I remember playing, but I didn't play very much. I've mentioned this a few times, but I was a huge fan of Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid. So the few times I actually played Mario Kart 64, it was only to try and race the train in Calamari Desert. But I mean, Mario Kart 64 is like such a great little party game, especially since the N64 was the first console to have full 4-player controller support. Mario Kart 64 is definitely a fun time to have a bunch of friends play, and actually this would be the first ever like 3D Mario Kart game. So shout out to Mario Kart 64. Next up, we have Diddy Kong Racing. This one seems to have some GameStop used stickers around. Not gonna lie, I don't think I even played Diddy Kong Racing at all. I feel like most people were either Team Mario Kart or Team Diddy Kong Racing on the N64, and I was definitely a Mario Kart kid. But I mean, what an interesting game, you know, it's made by Rare. We see Banjo in this game, and Conker, so at the very least, I can respect Diddy Kong Racing. Next up, we have Donkey Kong 64. This is a game that I remember popping into my N64, running around as Donkey Kong, and then giving up. And apparently I hear that is a lot of what Donkey Kong 64 is. It's a lot of like running around and collecting bananas and stuff. It seems very collect-a-thon heavy. So I guess I at least have an excuse for not playing this game. It does come on a yellow cartridge though, which is really cool. Next up, we have Rampage World Tour. Once again, look at all these used stickers. This was the first and only Rampage game I've ever played, and actually me and my brother used to play this game a lot. I remember you can play as all these characters and you're like puking, and it's very like humorous and like it definitely feels very 90s. Oh, and it's rated T for teen. Why the heck were we playing this game? But yeah, this game definitely has at least some like sentimental value for me. Next up, we have Hey You, Pikachu. This is a game that I've tried to play multiple times, but I could never ever get it to work. I don't know why, like, I had the whole microphone accessory and everything, but every time I would plug it into the N64 and try to talk, nothing would happen. I remember when I was a kid, I would get so frustrated at this game because I just didn't know what to do. I had this stupid yellow microphone. I was trying to talk to Pikachu, like, it was just a mess. Next up, we have Banjo-Tooie. Look at that. And possible spoilers, I don't think we even have Banjo-Kazooie in this collection. We at least have Banjo-Tooie though. Once again, I am embarrassed to admit that I did not play Banjo-Kazooie until I think 1 or 2 years ago we played it on Twitch. So there's no way I know anything about Banjo-Tooie. I can at least say that I enjoyed my time playing the first Banjo-Kazooie, so maybe I'll have to give Banjo-Tooie a try. Next up, we have Bomberman 64. I have a pretty huge confession to make. I'm not the biggest Bomberman fan. I feel like if I had a party of people playing Bomberman, I could probably find some fun out of it. It just wouldn't be like my go-to game, I guess. I find Bomberman to be a bit difficult, if anything, just because it's hard to like keep track of everyone on one screen. So I don't think I played much of Bomberman 64. Sorry if I upset a fan base. Next up, we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Me and my brother used to play this game a lot. Looking back at it, this was like a very just stripped down, like bare bones Tony Hawk game. But even as someone who didn't know much about skateboarding, I still had a lot of fun playing this game. And just like Donkey Kong 64, it has the yellow cartridge, so that's cool. Next up, we have Rugrats in Paris, the movie, the game. I think I probably played this game a little bit, like I vaguely remember playing some of this game. I don't think I played much of it, like I definitely don't think I finished it, but I was pretty into Rugrats when I was a kid, and I really like this game because it has a black cartridge. That looks really cool, not gonna lie. Next up, we have Monster Truck Madness 64. Once again, this is another game that has a price sticker on it, so I'm pretty sure I got this game the same time that I got Madden Football 64. And this one, once again, was $3. I probably just bought these games just to fill out my collection. In fact, I believe I tried playing this on my Nintendo 64 and it just didn't work. So I genuinely can't tell you anything about this game. I'm guessing it has monster trucks in it. Oh wow, and it's made by Rockstar and Microsoft on a Nintendo console. That's kind of interesting. And then the final game in my Nintendo 64 collection is
Gex.
This is Gex 64 Enter the Gecko. I know Gex is a big meme, especially in like the YouTube gaming community for some reason, but I remember genuinely trying to play this game when I was a kid, and I probably did not get very far because I can't tell you much about it. I remember that there was like a hub world to explore, and then you would go into these levels, but I know I didn't get very far. But yeah, there you have it. There's Gex. Alright, so that wraps up my entire childhood Nintendo 64 collection. This definitely brought back some memories for me, playing these N64 games with that weird controller. Those were the good old days. But let me know in the comments what are your guys' favorite Nintendo 64 games. If you want to see my entire Nintendo Switch collection, feel free to check it out below. For now, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chase, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.